Um, Jinjin Line, I like the sandbox in this game. Character looks pretty. I hear it's a lot of some boring daily quest grind for ages, not really being one shot. Um, it's hard to say because you can play a tank and not be one shot, right? It just depends on the class and the kind of gameplay style that you enjoy. For example, I play a glass cannon. I'm almost meant to be one shot, but because I play in an extremely fast style where I'm constantly, teleporting around and doing different things, people aren't really able to one shot me because I'm able to actually get hits off first. So I wouldn't necessarily look at that route, Jinjin Line. But in general, the game is insane for its sandbox elements. There is just an insane amount of things to do between all the different proficiencies and the different, ways you can make money in the game, to just all the different ways you can, well, like I said, make money in the game, right? All the different things you can try to earn between, different costumes, housing, trying to get housing next to each other, the cosmetics and furniture and everything there. But of course, there's also vehicles, gliders, combat pets, the boat system, and upgrading boats. Actually upgrading all your combat pets and giving them better gear, giving yourself better gear. There's a ton of stuff in the game. And a lot of people will say it's daily quest grind, but that's not always the case. Yes, there are dailies. Yes, they help you progress. But you don't have to focus on them when you don't want to. You can play the video game because it's an MMO. And an MMO you're supposed to play for years. You're not supposed to play for 2 months and then never play again, right? It's not a short-term game. So if you want to get into an MMO with an extremely long-term gameplay ability that has tons and tons of stuff in game that will, keep you sort of always doing stuff for years, and actually progress in meaningful ways that actually you can see and even show off to other people and enjoy and actually play in a guild and do fun stuff, then ArcheAge is awesome for that. It's extremely good for that, even. That's the whole point. That's why it was designed. It was designed to be played, over a very long period of time. But you don't have to play every single day. The reason everybody says it's a boring daily quest grind is because they want to get to all of the crazy stuff right away, super fast. They want to get all of the super crazy gear on day one, right? Which is not possible. And because they're trying so hard to get to the end game, people skip work, people skip other things, and they don't value real life as much because of it. That's the problem, is they can't actually enjoy the game. They can't sit down and just enjoy the game for what it is and do other things and go explore the world and go check out all the different things that the game has to offer. They feel like they have to do a regimen of stuff every single day to, quote, keep up. But that's not the case, because you can play classes even without any gear score that A, keep you alive, and B, contribute massively. And yet people don't play those classes because they just don't want to. So for example, a lot of people go into the game and they want to, on day one, play healer DPS, something like that, right? However, if those same players, instead of playing a healer or a DPS, they can play that, for the actually, leveling up and doing dailies and stuff, but if they're in PvP and they want to contribute meaningfully, don't play a DPS class if you don't have the gear for it. Switch to something else. Even I do that with high gear score. I play Eidolon, which is just an example of a class that is not DPS or healing or tank. This class is only, it A, will keep itself alive, but from the back lines, I can do tons of crowd control effects. I can buff all my allies. A lot of people will play a Bard for that matter, so maybe you'll take out Shadowplay for Songcraft and help buff everybody from the back lines, right? But I like Shadowplay because I'm able to disable and leech steal buffs from enemy tanks. I'm able to play in a gameplay style that is extremely powerful. And while I'm not playing a DPS, I am playing in a way that will enable our DPS to actually do damage. Stopping opponents from doing stuff, AoE crowd controls, AoE silences that stop enemy healers, AoE protective wings to stop our group from getting silenced as well as taking significantly less magic damage, giving everybody a buff that gives them 4,000 more health. I know it says 2,000 there, but that's not true. And so on. So there's a ton of different ways to play in the early game and contribute massively, but people don't really play that. And because of that, in the early game, it feels like a boring daily quest grind where you just get one shot every time, because you're just not there yet, because you're not in the game. Like, you're not at the point where you should be playing a DPS class yet, right? If you have 5k gear score and everybody else around you is 10k, 15k, the gear differences are just way too large. And so instead, if you play a class like this, you'll almost never die. It's also a great way to learn the game and to get involved in the game. And you can contribute massively in a way that is just sometimes better than having an extra DPS even at high gear scores. But people don't do this, and that's why a lot of the perception is, because you have to play certain classes for some reason, which is not true. That's the perception. The game becomes boring and stale. But that's not true. There is way too many options out there that people just kind of forget and miss. Okay, hopefully that was an explanation. At least somewhat useful for you. I don't know whether it was or not, but maybe give some background. The problem is that there are so many cool things about ArcheAge that people miss because they're so wound up, like they have to do this other stuff, but you don't. I don't do dailies anymore. I haven't done dailies in a long time, and I've continued to progress just fine. The Garden came out lately, and I do that one every single day because it's super easy. It takes half an hour, and I'm done. And, if I miss a day, it's not a big deal. I'll progress later, because I'm planning on playing this game for years, because I really enjoy ArcheAge, and how much it has to offer. Even as a solo player, just doing my own thing, which I don't recommend. Go join a guild, go and, have fun, do social stuff. That's really the best way to play it.